World of Warcraft loads really slowly, and I hate it. One of the things, like, this kind of bugged me for a while, especially logging into Valdrakken. Whenever you're trying to, like, log in loads of vaults to check auctions and check mail, and, like, you know, even if you're just doing it to put updated stats into alcoholic, things like that, it was really annoying me. But what annoyed me the most, and some of this is Dragonflight, some of the specifics, some of this is, like, game-wide, but whenever I was playing Plunderstorm in duos with someone who will go unnamed, they could not fucking land on a mob or land in a decent place for the life of them. They could not hit an elite. They didn't know where the elites were. They couldn't get anywhere. And we constantly, like, were disadvantaged in like the early game because we didn't have a strong start. The way Plunderstorm works is whoever actually loads first gets control, because that's the fairest way to do it. Otherwise, you can't just be like, autopiling down. So I embarked on this crusade. I need to fix my goddamn load times. It's not my PC. It's definitely not my PC, because, like, I have very strong SSD.
What's your CPU again?
Ryzen 7 3700X. And
good shit.
I have a pretty fast
4070 Ti.
Yep.
Good graphics
TI
card.
Super.
TI Super.
Yeah, and I have a PCIe 4 NVMe SSD, which the game's on.
Okay,
which
so
has about a quarter of it free.
It's quite firmly not a you problem.
It's not a me problem. It's a game problem, 100%. So I went, I need to figure this out. I need to find this out. So I embarked on this unbelievable crusade, and there'll be a video on this, like, with more detail coming up next week. But I made some graphs, and I made a spreadsheet full of stuff. And I'll go through some of them specifically. Let's bring this up. So it's not exactly it's maybe a bit messy, but I took a lot of different, like, stats from the add-on warm-up to just kind of go, well, here's it, because it reports total time, it reports what time certain add-ons are taking. It reports zoning time, world entry time, different parts of, like, Blizzard tools taking time as well. Like, there's debug here, which is Blizzard's own, like, internal debug stuff. That can take time. If your add-on's erroring, you'll get debug time added to that. So I checked all of my add-ons, removing them all individually. Actually, let me just make it a little bit bigger for you at home. So I checked a lot of the add-ons I have, which this is actually basically my full setup, by the way. I don't use that many. I removed them all and I checked to see what actually changed. Then I disabled all add-ons, tried them all individually to see if there's an impact from, like, a load time and a change based on these. I tried a couple of things over at in the CVAR end. There's world preload non-critical, world preload high-risk textures, and world preload player models. 3 different things that affect loading time, or theoretically affect loading time because they impact loading. I also checked a bunch of graphic settings, including, like, render scale, including view distance, environmental detail, graphic settings at different view distances. And I also tried individual WeakAuras, because WeakAuras are kind of going to be the problem. So what did I learn? I'll go back to the Notion doc for the graphs.
Yes.
This is view distance. This is zoning to Stormwind from Valdrakken through the portal and back to Valdrakken through the Stormwind portal.
That to Stormwind.
Yeah.
That's a massive jump from 9 to 10. What?
It is.
What bit of the world do you think is doing that?
I have absolutely no idea.
A mystery.
But
grand mystery.
It is not the world that you see because you're inside the Mage Tower. So it is just loading stuff for absolutely no reason effectively in the view distance zoning, which is, like, I tested this. I believe that was testing with the world preload off. So this is, like, optimized already and then trying to further optimize. So don't have your view distance set to 10 if you if you go through portals a lot, which we all do. We all go through 8 to 10 to 20 portals a game session because the game is, portals of Warcraft a lot of the time. Because, I mean, you imagine going to... I have video evidence of this and how much time is saved, which we'll throw into the actual video when it comes out. But going to... Say you go to Waycrest Manor, doing M+. That's... You zone 3 times. You zone from Valdrakken to the portal room. That's 1. You zone from the portal room to Drustvar. That's 2. And then you zone from Drustvar into the dungeon. That's 3. Now, it may not sound a lot, But if you remove like half the time of all of your zones there, you do end up saving, like, in my testing, it was about 8 to 9% of your travel time.
But it's also like, it's not just that.
Yeah.
Like I mean, we literally are talking about the seconds, but the bit that makes it feel good isn't really the seconds. It's just that everything is that little bit faster, that little bit more smooth. The sort of thing that I suppose if you were to find a massive example of this, it's like playing on an Xbox Series X versus S, or versus an older console, or versus a regular PC and an SSD sometimes, like with what the quick load features the new consoles do. Like, turns out minuscule, almost zero loading time does feel like amazing. It feels so much more next gen than any slightly prettier, graphics option does.
Yeah. So I have an example. There's, to put it very, very briefly, there's a couple different bits of loading that the game does. The game loads, basically it loads the world and it loads the UI. This is extremely simplified. Mm-hmm. It loads the world and zones every time you go anywhere, obviously. It doesn't if you / reload. At least or does it?
He's broken.
I'm not super sure on the details. I think it doesn't. Yeah, I don't think it does. But what actually, it's the zoning and the UI loading. When you log into a character the first time, that loads everything. So that's why my loading times were. Let me go back. Let me go back to the spreadsheet really, really quickly. So my loading time to begin with was upwards of 14 seconds.
Hello, Siri.
Hello, Siri. Where are you, you're going off my pocket, Siri. Why are you doing that? That's very rude. It's very rude. Very good. Quiet. So, like 14 seconds. Do you have any idea how long 14 to 15 seconds is when you're staring at a loading screen?
I mean, it's
eternity.
You could screen easily 10 potential YouTube shorts or TikToks within that period of time, Matt.
It's not even that. It's literally, you're just like, that is such an unbelievable amount of time for something to load. It's crazy. I got that down to 0.7 seconds by removing all of my add-ons.
0 points. Like, you just think of add-ons as like a default thing that's in your game.
Yeah.
You do not think about it as being anywhere near that impactful.
Yeah. I just removed the loading time by removing add-ons entirely.
0.7 seconds.
Yeah. Like I just click the login screen and it takes,
you're
like,
there.
That's a reload, right?
Yeah.
That's a reload loading the UI. There's a couple seconds for zoning time for like the world entry as well. But it does seriously take my loading time down to like 2 seconds, 3 seconds. Add-ons are a nightmare for the UI. And there's also different add-ons for different things. So I'll guess I'll talk about the add-ons and loop back to graphic settings. So how many add-ons do you have? Let me just show you. This is the list. This is the list. I have, what's that, 39 to 65. So I had like 20 something add-ons, like 26 add-ons installed. That's really not much. If you're playing hardcore, it's common knowledge to unload all your add-ons before logging into a risky situation.
There you go.
I mean, people probably know this. It's just I tried to like make it vaguely empirical. So it's kind of weird. Not sure it's worth giving up the add-ons though. That's why I went and checked them all individually.
Would there be a way to lazy load these?
Developer side.
Yeah, okay.
Not player side.
Yeah.
Developer side, because you'll notice that some of these are very big add-ons that have big changes but don't take any load time at all. I'll just go back to
So really the good news of this benchmarking, and I suppose what's provided to us by the warm-up add-on, is it can help developers profile and benchmark.
Yep. So you look at this, add-on impact on load time. Baseline, there's no impact obviously, except no add-ons. WeakAuras adds 6.29 seconds.
Oh.
That's with my full add-on, full WeakAuras stack.
Okay.
Which I'll go into very briefly.
It'll be interesting to see how that changes things. Okay.
Yeah, details adds about 2 seconds.
Huh. DBM very low.
DBM,
all the things a bit higher.
Like that's even with a couple thing there. DF friendly nameplates. That was actually bugged and also had a debug time, so I wouldn't use that. All the things adds about 2 seconds as well. You can tell it's a big ass add-on. Like, it does a lot of stuff. You can even feel your CPU like just chug whenever WeakAuras and all the things actually does stuff. There's Narcissus and Dialog UI that do nothing, and you go, well, there's an extremely good developer at the back of that. So Narcissus does a lot. Why does it not load? Why does it not take so much loading? I don't know. I literally don't know. I'm sure the developer could very much like explain how they load things, or maybe it's just because it's UI stuff, it doesn't need to load that very much. But whatever it is, like Dialog UI is basically negligible. Peter's done actually crazy good. Plater is also pretty big at just over a second. Pratt adds 0.8 a second, which is not a big deal, but you can see, like, obviously we go up here and it starts to add up once you add plenty of things that add like half a second or a second at a time. TSM is pretty small. It's like twice as long as Auctioneer, but not really a big deal. I use Auctioneer most of the time because I'm not a sweaty auction house person. You go, here's some economics, Matt, and I say, no thanks, show me the video game. BTW quests with the Dragonflight add-on was up to 0.8. I wonder what LVI would add. I knew I forgot one thing that I said I was going to test. I forgot to test that one. I'll update my...
It's funny, Elv used to be completely the standard, and yet there we see it completely just evaporated away from your brain. Well, that's so much so you didn't even think about it.
Yeah, actually, and someone in the... Because I was posting these as I was finding them to our members Discord, and of course, someone then asked about LVI, and I forgot. Altaholic adds a second. That's a big, like, data-heavy one as well. So you can see that, and Immersion adds basically nothing. This is kind of weird. The Cake is a Lie says, for example, using 10 configurable add-ons to customize UI is going to give much worse result than LVI because LVI is lazy loading a lot. But when it comes to configs and settings, that's where the problem comes in. Okay, I see. I understand. That would explain, like, details and all the things been kind of big. Being very data heavy as well. So I will check that. Best thing I did was install an add-on manager in different sets. Spot on. That's the answer. That's the answer here. If you're thinking, how do I solve this problem? How do I go from the left to the right? Simple add-on manager has profiles. You can literally save profiles and you can load them by right click, load profile. It's like 2-3 clicks. It's very, very easy. So the next thing then is to explain WeakAuras being 6.29 seconds. 6 seconds load time.
That's a lot.
I would uninstall that shit right now and just live without. I'll tell you why.
Or would you do something that would make it only appear if you're inside a raid?
You cannot control add-on loading like that automatically. You maybe could if you could maybe write add-on to do that, like auto-load a profile. Maybe that would increase your raid load time, obviously.
Yeah. But that would be a way to minimize the downside and maximize.
I'm actually not sure because I'm not sure if what you're zoning to is available in the API. I literally don't know because I'm not an add-on dev. Because you would need the game to know, oh, well, I'm loading into this, so enable this before you begin the load. Anyway, I love how the solution is another add-on. Yes, that's the one thing. All of my results here, my baseline isn't 0 add-ons. My baseline is simple add-on manager and warm-up because I need to measure it. Warm-up itself adds a tiny bit extra on garbage collection for every add-on you have. So there's a little bit of a slight exaggeration here to the point of like half a second. Doesn't DBM dynamic load modules based on zone? It does, but I think that's deciding to load itself when it's in, not deciding to reload UI once. I think that can actually handle loading within itself, if you understand, because it doesn't need a reload to enable the module, I believe. I'm not actually sure. I should probably just look it up, because I might end up seeing if I can solve this problem because it really annoyed me really badly. But I'll talk about WeakAuras. It's down here. My WeakAuras is kind of weird. I don't have that many. But what I do have is all of Luxosis.
Yep.
And look at that graph. Look at that graph. The more WeakAuras that load more things, because basically you've got DF dungeons. A lot of that seems to be fine, right?
Now this is this you just disabling those WeakAuras?
This is me deleting them.
Deleting them.
Because... as an example, I did this specifically. So I was doing this on my Druid. Even though there is no situation in which any of these Luxos auras would load on that class. No, but technically, potentially, if I clicked the button, right? If I turned them on, but it was still chunking, because here's like the total. You still see the number go down with everything. And then with 0 WeakAuras, it still took 3 seconds to load, which is like a 2.32 extra addition just from WeakAuras itself with no actual auras. And like, this might look like I'm on this sort of anti-WeakAura crusade. This is literally just me going, I'm interested in what this actually looks like. So that's some vague element of, if you aren't using WeakAuras very much but have it installed, it's going to reg your load times. It's just going to reg your load times. And if you can get away with less WeakAuras, go for it. Like, as an example, I have all of these. Most of my playtime is on my Druid.
Yeah.
Realistically, I don't play every class in the same month, never mind the same day or same week.
Could you have that stuff loading on a per character basis, so that you don't have to be loading in a disabled DK WeakAura on your Paladin, as an example?
I don't know.
Okay.
I literally don't know that's possible, because they're within WeakAuras. Add-on wise, you could have character profiles, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I can have WeakAura profiles. Like, maybe the Wago app does something like that. Maybe something like that. So yeah, it's kind of weird. It's kind of weird. Like there's some of this stuff doesn't change much at all. Like Glow's refundable talents, Ultimate Mouse Cursor, DF Dungeons, right? DF Dungeons is absolutely massive as a set of WeakAuras. But maybe it's because it's only loadable in dungeons. Maybe something like that. It just doesn't have the impact versus the class WeakAuras. So my kind of takeaway is, if you notice your load times are longer, think about what you put in. And also, if you're, I should say this. If your add-on setup and your WeakAura setup looks a little bit like you should be on a TV show about hoarders, maybe try to solve that, and then you won't have. Someone mentioned in chat earlier having like 35 seconds load time. Bro, don't fix that. I wouldn't play this game. I would like, every time I log into a character, I'd go like stick the kettle on, and then when I load another character, go pour tea, something like that, because that's honestly nuts to me. But yeah, if you actually literally have long load times, you can just yeet a load of WeakAuras, yeet a load of add-ons. That will get your initial load time into the game. So now we have to talk about graphic settings. We already showed you the view distance zoning, right? And it's just bring that shit down from 10 to 9 to save half the load time. If you bring it to 8 and to 7, you get even better improvements. And I actually do not think view distance is that important above a certain level. Because view distance is really stupid strong, isn't it? Like,
strong?
In terms of you can see into forever. Yeah. And that's cool, but it's not really necessary.
No, not at all. So, I mean, it only really has a positive impact in a place that's actually designed for that. I mean, if you go to Eastern Kingdoms or Kalimdor with 10 view distance, I think they look worse.
Yeah, they do.
Because they weren't designed for that.
You can see the zone transitions. You can see, why is that zone a completely different color? What the hell? And then it only makes sense when you get the skybox in as well. So strange. Yeah, I have minimal add-ons and little WeakAuras and still have a 20-second load time. I might have a solution for you. Beyond view distance, keep it down. Graphic settings don't matter that much, right? So this is graphic settings. Which one is that? I've got so many graphs. I forget. Yeah, this is overall graphic settings, I believe. This is overall without it being fixed.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just this one. This is with, actually, no, I'll show you this one first. This is more important. There's a CVAR, and people have been talking about this since Legion, right? There's a CVAR.
Yes, whenever they hid a whole bunch of things, and then people started using the add-on Advanced Interface Options. There we go, another add-on to solve our problem.
Exactly. I would highly recommend it. There are 3 variables. There are world preload high-res textures, world preload non-critical, and preload player models.
I love this. I had no idea these existed.
Yeah. So the defaults are 1, 2, and 1. This is the default settings. You've got... Is this... Yes. This is you. About 7.5 seconds, we'll reckon. You turn off player models. same. Turn off high-res textures, same. Turn off non-critical preloading. Cut 3 seconds off your load time. Cut your load time by 40%. Distorment. Cut it again by like 40% right there. Which is literally, there's one variable, world preload non-critical, that you can change either by setting it like a /set world preload non-critical 0. Set that to 0, or use advanced interface options and go to the CVAR browser and change it yourself. You can just cut half your load times when you go through any portal. And how many times do you go through portals? So I have another, I had a run where I went from Valdrakken to Warcraft with it on and off to see how fast I went. And there was like 5 seconds saved off like a minute something trip. Then I don't think I saved as much time, but my testing methodology was a bit scuffed because it was late at night and I was very tired. But the no Hearthstone back to Valdrakken run, I call it, on my druid, which is how do I get to the same place using as many portals as possible. I can't use my Hearthstone because I'm not testing and then go away for 15 minutes, come back. And it was Dreamwalk. So Dreamwalk to the Emerald Dreamway, run through that, which isn't actually a portal, it just shunts you, I believe, to the Dreamgrove. Take the Dreamgrove portal to Dalaran, take the Dalaran portal to Stormwind, and the Stormwind portal to Valdrakken. I did that, and the saving was pretty notable. It was another couple seconds total off like a minute trip, just with this one setting, because you're saving every single time.
Yeah.
And it feels so much smoother, so much nicer.
That's the bit that I'd really focus in. Because there's a lot of the time, you maybe talk about like keybinds and hotkeys and productivity stuff, and people just kind of say, you're saving seconds, none of that matters. It's not about the seconds, it's that it feels nicer. And when it feels nicer, you're more content doing it.
Yep.
So that's why, like, yes, spending an hour to save a few seconds, it does not make any sense, but you're not doing it because it's a time saving. You're doing it because it feels like a nicer experience.
Yep. Like the example I use in the script video is no one wants to be the last person to sit down and click the feast in a dungeon. You can never be that guy again with this one simple trick. It's not actually a line. But yeah, you can literally just set this. How long did this take you to do, lol? In terms of literal time, I don't know because I didn't track it. But basically, like 2 or 3 days, including writing a script for video, like two and a bit days this week, just sitting down
it's a lot of data.
and testing and testing and testing and throwing out half my testing. And you'll notice I tested with single test points here. I was going to do 3. I started taking 5 and then trying to average. And then I went, I'll be here for 7 years, and then immediately stopped. I immediately stopped. So that's kind of the most important parts, right? There's there's add-on load times. Any chance you make this public view only? I will whenever it's finished. Because as you can tell, it's not finished. So I have to clean it up, make some wording more apparent, and then I'll make it public. I'll make it public and throw it out with video. So, yeah, you've got your add-on impact. You've got your CVAR's impact. That'll cut out your zoning time half down. Easy. Graphic settings. I isolated these, and this is view distance 10 graphic settings. Sorry, no, that's the wrong one. That's it. This is the graphic settings zoning testing at max view distance.
Wow.
And you can see negligible improvement no matter what. I tried specifically environmental detail because maybe that would do, but no. The only thing that really impacts notable load time is view distance.
Does make sense.
Yeah, no other graphic setting does. Even is it render scale? Yeah, like render scale testing. I tried to run it at really low resolutions. I knew it really wouldn't impact, so it just didn't. But I did find something else interesting. And this is like, I'm really in the depths of like nerdy detail here. So I'm in Valdrakken here, Michael, right?
You are.
I'm in Valdrakken. I'm running at 1440p. I drop my render scale to 75% and then to 50%. What happens to my frame rate?
When you drop it by 50%.
when I drop my render scale, so the game is rendering substantially less.
It depends what the bottleneck is.
What happens to my FPS?
Well, it should increase.
Should increase.
Yeah.
You know what it does?
Decrease.
Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting series of circumstances.
Yeah. Do you want to have a guess at why that might possibly be?
Streamer brain.
It's fine. The answer's actually in chat.
Oh, great.
Yeah. Muppet says FSR has been broken since fall 2023.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. FSR has been broken since.
Yep. Fidelity FX super resolution doesn't actually happen.
So game wide.
Yeah.
In the world of Warcraft.
Yes. I noticed I went from hovering.
Excuse me.
Yeah, I went from hovering around high 50s, like 60 in Feldraken at 100%. It dropped to 40 frames per second when I dropped it to 75% render scale because I had FSR upscaling that 1080 to 1440. And I noticed because I dropped it to 720 and I went, oh my God, this doesn't look half bad for being 720p. Oh, FSR's really good. And then I stepped outside into Valdrac and went, oh, my frame rate. Oh, my per frames. Where did they go? Oh, no. So, Blizzard, could you throw some DLSS in there? That's actually one of the things about Alpha. I love seeing graphic settings changes. Like the Cataclysm beta having the up-res textures.
Yes.
I'm really looking forward to seeing if we maybe get your CPU brand. Yeah. I
mean, it makes sense in what you're running.
Yeah, it makes sense in what I'm running, and it makes sense in Valdraken of all places. This probably was
Damn, Matt, you're going to have to upgrade your CPU now.
I actually was considering buying a 5700. No! Well, I was considering buying a 50.
Oh man, we're 3 whole hardware gens. 4? Since
that'll be a 2 upgrade for me. We're like 4 since
okay,
then.
2. Okay,
yeah, that'll be a 2 upgrade because it'll stay on the same motherboard platform. So I'm not buying a motherboard.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So yeah, I actually could. I was thinking of it, but then I decided I'll actually just go to Canada for a week instead. But yeah, so get a 5000 XTD. That was the one I was looking at. And then I thought, I just bought a new graphics card. I can wait. I can wait and do a platform upgrade in like a year or two because I can at least hold around 60 in Valdraken. Yeah, and that's the hardest of all to run.
So overall then, comparing our before and our after, Matt, you went from roughly how many seconds to load? So
this is, I believe, this is kind of it like with the final stuff, right? Where is it? Because I have like my baseline is here all over the place, but I didn't actually literally check my specifics. But effectively, like I think that was kind of it decently. That was about it. Do I have recording? This is why I need to clean this up a little bit. Yeah. Because I just don't have I don't have my graphic settings perfect for this. But I did go from character loading from 15 seconds to basically nothing. However, when I throw a couple of necessary add-ons back in, like I fire in, I'll probably want, where's my add-ons? Yeah, like I'll fire in WeakAuras, but not at 6 seconds. That'll be 3 seconds. So I'll be throwing an extra 3 seconds. Details, I don't know if I'll keep details.
See, it's interesting because for a lot of people,
have profile. Yeah, swap to because I don't need details unless I'm in a raid.
So I think the way to do this is to have an add-on profile that you swap to when you want it, and that's hopefully that can be done in one keybind.
I haven't tested keybinds. I don't know if there's any simple add-on manager macro control because obviously some add-ons allow you to control through console. Yeah. That would work. You can do it with 2 clicks. You can go right click, load profile, click the one you want. You can do that. I'll maybe see if I can get a macro working for this in the future.
Should really take a look at the different add-on managers out there.
Yeah.
Certainly get an add-on manager. It is so much better.
The reason I went with Sam was because it was small and simple, so I could actually so I could have profiles for testing and also it wouldn't wreck everything. All the things, I'm never going to use all the things. Whatever. Check the load time in Heckley. Yeah, that's probably a good idea. Plater, I need Plater. You can't play the game without Plater. Well, you can play the game without Plater. but you can't really play the game properly without plater. You're hamstringing yourself substantially because of the sheer amount of, like, even by default, the sheer amount of stuff it does for the actual, like, experience of there's a nameplate, it's changing size, it's changing color, it's changing, you know, you've got control over your, like, icons there. Like I have when I'm playing Feral, I have a, what it called? I have a grayed out rake if rake isn't active. So I can see the grey rake and go, oh, rake's not active. As opposed to seeing nothing. Because seeing nothing going rake isn't active and seeing, you know, I could just sometimes I can forget. Really hope I shouldn't. Opie is actually a good version. I didn't try with it specifically.
I'd be really sad if Opie was really bad on load times.
Well, there's your answer.
Yay, it's not that bad.
0.4 seconds, it's all right. I didn't try MRT either. I think MRT was pretty negligible as well. It took like 0.4 seconds. Add-ons are basically around 0.3 seconds. Unless
just
they're
by default for existing.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, almost entirely. Unless it's a like shared media and group filter, like Sidepack, they're all like kind of background stuff. Mostly background stuff. So add-ons, that one CVAR, the world non-preload critical, and world preload non-critical, sorry, and your view distance being below 10. That's the short version of this. That's a short version of here's how to fix all your loading problems. And here's an example of like there's going into Ruby life pools. So I talked about dungeons. 8 seconds versus 3.1.
Oh, that does feel nice.
That is massive for going into a dungeon. Like it is unbelievable how much better that feels. And you can also like tell everyone you're playing M+ with.
And basically just got 100% load time decrease.
Yeah, with zero notable downsides. Because you kind of have to ask, okay, what does world preload non-critical do? And I don't know, because I'm not a Blizzard developer. I can kind of take a little bit of a stab and say, you know, it doesn't preload non-critical things. It doesn't take 4 seconds.
A shocking deduction, man.
Yeah. And then you go, what is a critical thing? Some geometry? Yeah, but no matter what I've tried, I don't, I cannot, like I've tried loading a zone and dragging riding as fast as I possibly can through the nearest thing. No. Whatever it loads that it considers non-critical is non-critical. Who'd have thought? So it does make me wonder why these aren't why this is the default setting. But I can get it from a developer safety point of, well, you don't want people to not see a mountain fly into it on like really bad hardware. So there you go. Which
basically means turn it off and see if anything weird happens to your video game.
Yeah. There you go. I figured out how to fix your load times. There you go. Does this also affect the load time if I were to DC mid M+ run? Yes. Specifically the add-ons and WeakAuras and stuff like that will impact substantially. There will also be a small impact from the non-critical preload. Like you'll save this 8 to 3, right? You'll save those seconds, but there are extra seconds because if you DC, you're reloading your character. So any big like 15, 20 seconds add-on load will happen then as well. But yeah, if you DC a lot, get rid of as many add-ons as you possibly can, and WeakAuras, and change your settings, and then you'll be fine.
Neat. So there we go. Science occurred.
As the person who did this, I will not call it science. And I definitely won't call it science for one very specific reason.
You put numbers on a graph, Matt. Yep. You are more of a science than most.
See, you know what scientists do? And I think I mentioned this in the video script. Scientists go out of their way to make sure they find the absolute truth, right? Or at least that's what they're supposed to do. They find things in isolation. They remove everything. They have control variables. You know what my computer was doing while I was testing this? Probably the same thing your computer does while you play World of Warcraft. Because I wanted to make sure that I wasn't sitting in isolation having the perfect examples. I wanted real life simulation examples. So I was sitting on Discord and voice chat. The vast majority of the time, I think all of the time, I had like YouTube video, like at least one YouTube video playing in the background. Or if it wasn't a YouTube video, it was a Discord stream watching someone like, so I was watching a friend of mine prog in the Epic of Alexander. No, it wasn't. That was another time I was watching P12 Asprog, which is actually really fun. But yes, I just had my PC do a load of bullshit like yours will be doing. Browser tabs, YouTube videos, just real world stuff. So that was it. That was like half of my week went into that. So now I can like actually, okay, well, first
Gained about 1 second a day.
yeah. So first, I saved loads of load time. Second, I now have to spend the guts of a week seriously considering which WeakAuras add-ons to use.
You've actually opened up a box for yourself that you can't shut anymore.
I have. Sometimes there's like the Pandora's boxes optimization, and sometimes I look in and my brain explodes. I also need to remember to check LVI and Heckley as well. So I should. And no, I'm not a zoomer. No, I'm not watching multiple videos simultaneously. It's just I have a second monitor, and if nothing's on it, my brain doesn't work.
Very sad.
Never
Very
get a
sad.
second monitor. Only have one monitor. Second monitor ruins your life.